blows my mind.
Bumhole parasites.
Nice to see you too.
We have to start there. Charlotte, pleased to meet you again. And yes, we need to talk about bumhole parasites because I saw one of your videos. Was it a video or was it just a comment?
No, it was a video, but the video touched upon them, but it wasn't like about them as such.
So tell me about bumhole parasites. What are they? Why are they there? We are full of parasites though, aren't we?
I was going to say that. It's not just bumhole, it is literally everywhere. I've been doing a lot of reading into them a lot lately. So I've done a few different parasites myself and seen things you don't want to see. But yeah, they are literally everywhere. We have them, you have liver, kidney flukes, you have them in your intestines, you have them in your bowels, you have them literally everywhere. And they are really bad for you as well. When you actually look at the symptoms that they cause, most disease is caused or seem to be linked back to them in some sort.
Wow. Have you heard of toxoplasmosis?
No.
I think that's what it's called. Ben will Google it. So one of the reasons why they advise pregnant women to not have cats or go near cat litter is there's a parasite that lives in the gut of a cat and it reproduces in the gut of a cat. And this parasite is only transmitted through rats, I believe. So what happens is this parasite gets into the rat's brain. So it only reproduces in the cat's gut, but it's carried by rats. Okay. This parasite gets to the rat's brain and it rewires the brain so that the rats are not scared of cats, but they're sexually attracted to them. So that the rats then seek out cats, which kill the rats. The parasite then goes into the cat's stomach, reproduces, comes out in its feces, and that cycle reproduces. And that can happen to humans. Not that they're going to go and seek out cats, but it can have massive implications on mental health, things like that. I'm sure it's called toxoplasmosis, is it?
That's interesting.
Yeah. So what I was looking at and reading about, it was a while ago, is they're now doing studies and saying that depression and anxiety and things like that could largely be caused by these parasites.
And they're saying with heavy metals as well, that could be another cause of things like that.
Right.
Because we've got the blood-brain barrier and not everything can cross it, but apparently a lot of metals can. And once they're in there, unless you actively try and get something else to cross the blood-brain barrier. And the only thing that I've found that does that is frankincense so far. Frankincense, pure essential oil, that's the only thing that crosses the blood-brain barrier without a carrier or something to take it through.
And what would that then do? Would that detoxify some of the metals? Yeah,
it tries to like dislodge them if you like, but that's when you then got to have something else as a binder to carry it out. So something then like grapefruit oil or shilajit, that's a really good binder.
Okay.
It helps to get everything and flush it all out.
Wow. So I saw your video. I think I duetted it and put it back on my page. And the crazy thing was TikTok said, I got a warning for it straight away, and I appealed it, and it got taken away. But I just believe in shilajit because it made me feel a bit better. I've not dug into all of the research, but you did, didn't you? You found some studies and things like that. What was it you found out about it? Because there's still a lot of people that will come on my page and say, oh, you're a snake oil man, you're a snake oil salesman, it's a load of bullshit, it doesn't work. And I get that because I was having a conversation. I was doing live the other day, and I was saying that a lot of the benefits you don't feel. Like if you go and take a vitamin B complex, you don't feel any different. You just rely on the fact that the studies have been done and it's going to help with X, Y, and Z. Not everything is psychoactive in the sense that you're going to, I'm going to feel something. So there's a lot of things with the shilajit, but what you looked at was amazing. What can you? I bet you, of course, you can remember it because that's the stuff that you do, don't you?
Yeah. There is a lot because I look at anything that I share. I go down those. I want to look at the science. I want to know about it. Yeah. But yeah, the shilajit, it's got literally endless healing properties, and I believe it's because it's full of fulvic and humic acid, which is essential to our body. Which
comes from where? Because I saw a video yesterday which was explaining where fulvic acid comes from. And it's decomposed animals.
Everything that's pushed down over thousands of years.
Yes.
But that's why the shilajit is only in the Himalayas and why it's like where it is. It's why it's hard to extract.
So I'm guessing it's going to have been compressed over the thousands of years. And then as the mountain range is pushed together, that's obviously how you get the peaks, isn't it?
That's how I would guess. I don't know. That's not my
thing. Yeah, I think that's the geology behind mountain peaks. It's when you've got two... I don't know if they're tectonic plates or something like that. Yeah, and they're pushed together and they do this. So what was once down below is now at the top of mountains. So it makes sense.
Which is the same way they get some different fuels as well, isn't it? Isn't it coal as well? That's something.
So coal. And it's really weird, actually, you should say this, because, again, I was watching something the other day. And the only reason we have coal is because... thousands and millions of years ago, there wasn't a fungus that could break down this word that began with an M, which was in trees. So what happened was trees would fall and they wouldn't be broken down as they are today. So they would literally just stay there and almost petrify. Okay. So we are no longer ever going to create coal again, because over the thousands of years, these fungi, different types of fungus and whatever it is, microorganisms that break down things, started figuring a way out to break down this substance that was in the trees. So coal is a direct result of evolution not catching up with what had happened. And I thought that was so fascinating because, so coal is not decomposed trees. It's almost fossilized, and that's when you look at coal, it is almost a rock, isn't it? So that was interesting, but that's essentially it. So what else about this shilajit then?
It's a magic for your heart.
Okay.
It's full of iron, so if you have anemia, it's really good for anemia.
Yes.
There is so much. Helps with anxiety and depression, as you know, sleeps and dreams.
Yep.
The dreams I always find really fascinating because I don't know what it is in the dreams, in the shilajit that causes the dreams. Is it because it interacts with hormones? It produces more testosterone as well, doesn't it? I actually had somebody comment on a video the other day saying, should ladies actually take shilajit because it boosts your testosterone? But from what I've looked into, it does boost your testosterone, but it wouldn't take it to anything more than it should naturally be.
It just takes it to normal levels.
Yeah, for ladies as well.
Yes. And that's the thing, most ladies don't realise women have testosterone and men have estrogen.
Yeah.
We just have different amounts.
That's it.
Yeah.
But then obviously if you take hormones and things like that, then anything that disrupts your hormones is going to mess with that balance. And, well, there's lots of things that's going to mess with hormones in a day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Like when we use deodorants, spraying those straight onto your lymph nodes, that's going to affect your hormones. Our skin is super absorbent, like the most absorbent organ on our body. Mm-hmm. So everything that goes onto our skin goes directly into our blood.
Whereabouts on your body has the largest pores? I learnt this morning.
Hands and feet.
Feet. I was watching this thing, you'll have probably done it. They were putting, it looked like onions or something in bags.
Barbara O'Neill.
Okay. I don't know. I just saw this video and I was like, and they were like, you put it on your feet because it's got the largest pores and it goes straight in or stuff comes out. And it comes out black, doesn't it, sometimes?
Yeah, you can get some patches that you put on, which always seem to be black in the morning. I've never tried them myself. But Barbara O'Neill, she's a massive advocate for the onions. So onions are really alkaline, and so they help bring your body into an alkaline state. Something that Dr. Sebi, somebody else, an alkaline guy, something that he used to shout about was onions. But yeah, Barbara O'Neill, she shows you that you can put them, like say, chop them up, put them on your feet, and it draws junk out. Yeah. So if you've got a cold or cough or just generally feeling unwell, you should put them on your feet, wrap your feet in some parchment paper, put your socks back on, and you'll be fine by the morning.
So there's two things about onions. One is it used to be an old wives' tale, but if there was ever illness in the house, they would cut onions and garlic, put them in the corners of the house, because what onions do is they draw the toxins and things towards it. So the second thing is you'll hear of a lot of people going to a restaurant and getting food poisoning, and it's not from the meat. It's from onions being cut and left out for too long, drawing in bacteria and then being poisoned by the onions. So quite often you've gone out, you know, whatever kind of restaurant it might be, and if they've had cut onions, you know, they've maybe stored them. People think vegetables is fine, but so onions are, and it's weird because my entire family have always been drawn to onions. My dad can eat an onion like an apple.
Oh, really?
A white onion. Yeah,
wow.
He will eat it. But I love that kind of taste and things like that. But yeah, they are amazing things. But yes, so the Shilajit is, it just works.
Absolutely.
It just works. What have you noticed any difference from the raw to the older one?
I haven't swapped over yet.
You're not swapped over yet?
No,
yep.
I will.
Yeah.
The thing that it doesn't worry me as such, but I really don't like the taste at all.
No.
So with the one that I had been using, I roll it up and put it in a capsule and just take it that way. But I'm nearly out of it. So when it comes
because
to
it would be interesting to get your view on it, because you are so in tune with how things make you feel.
Yeah.
More than maybe somebody that's having a few pints a night and not eating so much. So I will be interested to find out what your thoughts on it. But I've gone full carnivore.
Yeah, I've seen this. So how's it going?
Yes. So I was vegan for 2 years and then vegetarian up until the last day in November. My knees have just been getting progressively worse.
Oh.
Worse and worse and worse over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Progressively worse. Broke my leg, had an operation on that, torn some cartilage and meniscus in there, had a clear out. But, you know, literally for about the last year, it's just been getting worse. But then over the last 2 months, 3 months maybe, my left knee, which I've not injured, I've not done anything to, has just been absolutely killing me. To the stage where I couldn't walk, 50 yards without a lot of pain. So I spoke to the doctor and, do you want to come in for some more surgery and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, So anyway, I stumbled upon one of Joe Rogan's latest podcasts, and he was talking to Dr. Sean Baker. He's an orthopedic surgeon, works out of America. He's been full carnivore for 6 years, which essentially means all he eats is animal products with a bit of organic vegetables every now and then. And he's late 50s. He looks incredible. I mean, he looks like a bodybuilder, not an ounce of fat on him. But he's an orthopedic surgeon. And what he was saying was he almost lost his medical license because as an orthopedic surgeon working in America, it's all about the money coming through the doors. So he was advising patients, and I might be slightly wrong with what I'm saying because it is a while since I've listened to it, but he was saying that he was advising his patients before they went under the knife to try a month to 2 months of just pure carnivore diet, because the studies are now starting to show, and the anecdotal advice, that inflammation starts to drop, and the results with arthritic hips, shoulders, things like that have been fantastic. And he says they weren't coming in for the surgery. So he was then taken into the board of whatever it was and saying, look, you can't be doing this because essentially we're not earning any money from it. So I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to try it. I'm going to try it. So since the last day of November, what are we on today? 10th? 9th? 9th today. So 10 days. My knees feel... Yesterday they were sore. They were hurting me yesterday. I coached all day and they were really sore by the end of the day. But ordinarily, normal day-to-day activities, the pain's all but gone.
That's really good.
Really good. I don't know if a lot of it's placebo. I'm not sure. So I'm going to keep going with it until the end of the month at least. But I've dropped 2.2 kilos in 10 days in weight. Wow, obviously, that's a lot of that's going to be water. I understand that. The only other thing, which we mentioned before we started filming, was my bum hole gets incredibly sore after a poo now. Almost like when you've had a really, really fiery curry. Yeah. The next morning, that's every day now. And it's getting to the stage now where it's like, I don't know. And that then started getting me thinking about the bumhole parasites. And I'm thinking, fuck, have I got some little fucking things eating away at my arsehole? I'm thinking... I don't know anybody enough yet close enough to anybody to say, look, can you just have a little look at the arsehole? Because I've just got these vivid thoughts now that I've just got these, after I saw your video, these little things just to eat, and I'm like, oh.
There could be something else just popped in my head then when you said that. So going back to, we touched on Dr. Sebi, he believed that an alkaline diet was super healing. He healed thousands of people using the alkaline diet.
So, look, I'm simple.
Okay.
Tell me what an alkaline diet is. You've obviously got acidity and alkaline.
Yeah. The alkaline diet is basically just all alkaline forming foods.
Which are like what?
Wow, believe it or not, lemons and limes, they're highly acidic when they go in, but after digestion, they come out, this is what I was getting to, they come out as alkaline, so they leave an alkaline ash. So if you think of your tummy like a fire, anything that goes in has to go through the fire, be processed, and what ash comes out, what's left, is either alkaline or acidic. This is a theory, but it makes sense. He said, basically, only eat foods that are going to leave an alkaline ash, which are your fruits, vegetables, some grains, but they're the olden ones, like the originals, not the GMOs. Like broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, they're all GMO. They're all acid forming.
Well, you only need to go and look at what a carrot used to look like or what a pumpkin used to look like, and there's literally no resemblance.
Yeah, absolutely, because they're so genetically modified.
Yeah.
So it's removing the nutrition, removing the good stuff, and leaving you with nothing worthwhile eating, really. But animal products leave a acidic ash.
Right.
So when you're coming out, which may explain your heat, the burn from the acid ash that's being left.
But does the acid in our stomach not literally just change everything to the same components? I mean, I don't know, I'm not a biologist, but you would think so. It's hydrochloric acid, isn't it?
But then it also depends on the gut of your state of your health of your gut. So because of all the foods and everything now, most people, I think it's like 9 out of 10 people, will have even just small little holes in their gut, which then leaks out, and that's
Leaky
what causes
gut.
the problem. Yeah.
Yes.
So your gut health depends on everything. And this is, again, going back to what Dr. Sebi was teaching people, was that every kind of disease starts from the gut. So any kind of leaky gut, you get mucus build-up, and that build-up is cause of inflammation, and chronic inflammation is the cause of disease. So that's when he was going with the alkaline. Where was I going with that? Just gone brain dead.
You said to me there might be something else that's causing your bumhole to be sore,
so
and it's that ashy type stuff. Yeah. Okay. I've also noticed I am going to the toilet for a wee a lot.
Okay.
A lot more than I ordinarily would do. And obviously I'm documenting this on TikTok, and people are coming in and saying, oh yeah, that's because you'll be, inflammation will be going, and I don't know. I think it's possibly more to do with the fact, well, it's strange actually, because when I was vegetarian, obviously the food was all pretty much water, isn't it?
Yeah.
And now it isn't, but I'm going to the toilet more. So I would have thought, well, maybe it's because I am drinking more. It does make you thirsty, which, going back to the last time that we spoke to each other, I always think, Occam's razor. What's the most simple explanation for this? Is it because my joints are now, getting rid of all of the inflammation? Surely if it is, it's not that much. Or is it because I'm drinking more? And I am actually drinking more.
That's good.
Yes.
But then this is another theory that I've read before. If you're drinking more and you're weeing more, then you're not absorbing anything. So you're literally putting it in and it's coming straight back out. So you're not really hydrating.
But we have Celtic salt by Celtic Coastal.
I was about to say. So before you have your drink, next time, maybe try and bring a bit more awareness. Put literally a grain of salt under your tongue.
Well, I do that every morning anyway.
Try and do it before you have every drink and see if it makes a difference. Because I've just started using this wand. So I've got a frequency wand. I almost brought it with me, I should have done. It's this frequency wand, and it alters the frequency.
Are you a witch?
No.
Is it a witch's wand?
No, not that kind.
Oh.
It's an electric one.
It's a 2023 wand.
Yeah, basically. Yes. Well, back in the olden days, if I was doing then what I do now, I would be a witch. I would be burned. Yes. But then is that just because I'm sharing knowledge of nature and how nature can heal and not medicines?
Yeah, and people were extremely stupid back then.
So
I mean, extremely stupid. But in the sense of sort of they didn't move out of their own village.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't getting information from the other side of the planet and the great scientists sharing this and that and the other. So it would be extremely easy for a story of somebody that's done this over in the other village. You know, I can't remember what it was. Somebody was saying to me, it was actually my daughter, and she was saying that she's doing history A level, and the teacher was explaining to them that I think she's doing the French Revolution. And she was saying something like, the teacher said to her that the average person back in those days, the entire amount of knowledge that they knew would have been contained in a few chapters of a normal book.
Yeah.
And she was saying, you know, I'm having to revise all of this stuff, Dad, all of these books. And she was saying, the teacher was saying to us how the normal person, you know, their vocabulary was 10% of what we are now, and their knowledge and whatnot. So you can see how it would be easy to, we don't understand something, so, oh, you know, she's pulled something out of the ground and given it to this person. All of a sudden he's been healed, or you must be a witch. You must be a witch, because that's not what we know. So I don't know. But yeah, you are a modern day witch.
Yeah, I guess so.
And you see, I'm good. You don't have a broomstick. But you do have a van.
My wellness wagon. You know what? And I've been to festivals and things this year. I have actually, at every single festival and thing I've been to, used all my potions and my oils and lotions that I've had in the van.
You see, I think you've got
people.
a branding opportunity here. I think you could be the holistic witch or something like that.
This is the wellness wagon.
So. Yeah. I think we're onto something. So I went to the toilet earlier, and you've put your van in the car park. You've got a solar panel on the top, haven't you?
I have. I did that myself.
Did you?
I did. Very
so
proud
tell
of
us
that.
about this wellness wagon.
Okay, so I was homeschooling Tia, my daughter, and then I just I'd wanted to get off in a van and just go out for years and hadn't ever done it. And then one day I was like, right, I'm doing it. So I bought myself a van. I gave up our home. I gave it up because my dad, there was room at my dad's house if we needed it, so I was all right. I basically literally turned this van that was used as a car, like a race car transporter type thing.
Okay.
I literally gutted it out and rebuilt
Was it
all
like a
myself.
Ford Transit van, one of them type things?
It's long
wheelbase.
long wheelbase. Yeah. So I've done it all. I put all my insulation, did all my walls, put all my solar panels in. I've built a bed. I've got a sink. I've got a bench and toilet. I've got everything in it.
Wow.
So yeah, me and Tia, my daughter, and my dogs went off for a bit around the UK.
And then, so you go to festivals. Is this your business as well now?
It is, but I haven't been doing. I need to get better at business, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I was at festivals and things, I was just helping people because I could, and I had things like when someone was being eaten alive by mosquitoes, I was like, oh, I've got a potion for that. So I ran back to the van, made them something up, gave them that. I had somebody else who had bellyache, so I gave her making things up for her. So yeah, just because
I've heard caffeine's good for bellyache.
Oh, I've not heard that one.
Only because I was on holiday once, and we were on holiday, and there was one of the little girls that my little girls was sort of playing with, and she went back and she said, oh, I feel a bit sick, Grandma, Granddad, and they gave her a bottle of actual full fat Coke.
Wow.
And I was like, surely that's counterintuitive. She's got bellyache. And they were like, no, high dose caffeine is very good for nausea.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
Don't know. Don't know. It's, might be a load of bollocks.
What if it worked for them?
It might be.
Could be something in the bubbles.
I think there was some vodka in there. She was down in it. Yeah, you know, it's funny that that you said, I'm rubbish at business and this, that, and the other. We were having a laugh, weren't we? When you came in here, everybody at home, this is not as professional as it looks. So we'd got all the things falling down. And I said, look, what we need in this podcast area is a woman's touch. And we need someone that's going to be able to organise the cables and all of the things that we don't think about as blokes. And you've just said to me, I'm not very good at business. And whilst you're sitting there telling me about all of these things, all I'm thinking is business opportunity. How can we brand that? She could have some T-shirt brand. She could have her own like organic soaps and stuff like that and a website. And if she'd have only documented her building this van, you know, you could then go out there and you could give advice to big burly blokes that think they know everything. You're like, well, actually, I've done it and I can do this. And it's just weird, isn't it, how we work differently.
Absolutely.
We are completely different in those. And obviously, you're going to get some blokes that like to tidy and, you know, they'll have it all neat. And you get some women that are fixing wheels and stuff.
That's it.
But I think generally we work well together.
Is that a crossover of energy, an imbalance? Because everyone has masculine and feminine energy.
Yes.
So as a woman, I feel like I used to be very much in my masculine energy.
Yes.
And that's probably because I was a single mum, so I've like been mum and dad forever.
You've had to, yeah.
So, but now I've kind of realised I was in my masculine energy more. I've consciously made changes to bring my energy back into balance. So now I'd like to say I'm pretty balanced, but I can do manly things around the house and do stuff if I need to. But I'm also not like, now I'm not like, oh, I don't need a man, I can do it all myself. I know I can, but I don't need to shout about it and be like, man,
but equally, it would be nice for you not to.
Yeah,
and just
absolutely, that's it.
That needs doing over there. You just go and sort that out, and I'll do this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I think we adapt, don't we? And I don't know if we spoke about this before, but it fits in with it. Pigs and wild boars are the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
They're exactly the same creature. If you put a wild boar in captivity, it starts to lose its hair and it loses its tusks.
Is that stress?
But it no longer needs them because it's in an environment where it's being looked after. So, but you then go and put a domesticated pig into the woods, and as long as it doesn't get killed by something because it's simple, over a period of time, it starts to grow hair and tusks.
Oh,
and it becomes a wild boar, but they're the same creature.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that.
No. Oh, I thought we maybe spoke about it. Yeah. So that makes sense that you put a female in a position where she has to start doing the more masculine things, and you will. Yeah. You put a male in an environment where all of a sudden, I know how to use the washing machine and the dishwasher and all of these things. I didn't when I was married.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have to. Or maybe my ex-wife would say, well, that's fucking why we got divorced. But ultimately, we are so adaptable, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely.
And you'll find that there's a lot of single mums that are very handy and doing this. And it's like, wow. But equally, you'll probably find a lot of blokes that live on their own. Like my brother, for example, he tidies and is spotless. And he lived a large portion of his adult life on his own.
Okay.
He didn't get married until quite late on. So I think, it is adaptable. Yeah. It is adaptable, which makes complete sense, doesn't it? You've got to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it used to be, didn't it? The men.
So do you live in this van now?
No, not now.
You don't live in it now. So you've got a place.
Yeah.
And you do that. But I guess in the summer it's amazing to go and do that.
Absolutely. Well,
have you done it around Scotland yet, around the edge?
No, I would like to.
I think that would be amazing.
We was going to, but then obviously Tia wanted to go back to wanted to start secondary school, which is why we gave up the van and got a house. But I miss the van already. I'd much rather be in a van any day. Yeah. Any day.
Tents, vans. And again, some people get it, some people don't get it. I've rarely camped. It just always pisses it down. And there's nothing worse than being in a tent. No. You see, I'm sure there's a lawsuit that could be had, because I've never been in a fucking tent that's waterproof. They always say they're waterproof, don't they? They always say they're waterproof. You camp out, it's fucking soaking on the inside. There's water dripping. It's not. You don't put on a pair of Wellington boots and go in the water and your feet are wet, do you? They are waterproof. These tents are not waterproof. But maybe that's because I'm buying mine from Tesco's for $9.99. Possibly.
Yeah, if you read it, it probably just says showerproof.
Yes, showerproof is a thing.
Good marketing, that is, though, isn't it?
Yes. So I do know that you wanted to talk a little bit about anxiety, eating disorders and things like that.
Yeah.
Because I guess you've got a take on that now from a more holistic approach.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Well, my healing journey, so I was bulimic and had body dysmorphia, anxiety, depression.
What's bulimic to somebody like young Ben over there that has got no idea what bulimia is?
Bulimia is basically eating loads of food, just eating and eating and eating and eating, and then purging, like making yourself sick.
Wow.
Literally sticking your fingers down your throat, make yourself sick.
Can you remember the point that started? Was there a point where you thought, I feel so ill here, if I'm sick, I'll probably feel better? Is it that black and white, that binary that I've just made that decision once, and then I thought, actually, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not far off. So I was obese. I was like size 24. I was big.
At what age?
Then, 18, 19.
No way.
Yeah, I was quite a big girl. Yeah. And that was all down, that all started off like, well, that was using food as a comfort tool. So that was all like going back to childhood. And childhood, I'd use food as a comfort. So my mum left when we were kids. So me and my brother were brought up by my dad. But my dad worked away a lot. So then we'd spend a lot of time with my nan. Yeah. But my nan worked nights. So like at a young age, like, well, 9, 10, I was at home looking after my little brother. And then I started using food as my comfort from that age. So when I was home alone, I'd be like, oh, I'm just going to eat a packet of crisps. And I'd eat like 10 packets of crisps and whatever. So as I grew up and got older, food was always my comfort blanket, if you like. So if I was happy, I'd eat. If we were celebrating, you have cake. If I was sad, I'd sit and eat, comfort eat. And then at 19, I started losing weight. I was like, right, I'm going on a diet. I was big. I wasn't happy. So I went on a diet, did it all. Well, I literally tried every single pill, potion, shake, soup, every fad diet out there. I tried everything. And then I started doing shakes and soups as like meal replacements. So I started losing weight. I lost about 2 or 3 stone, and then...
So were these things that you were preparing yourself, or were they the generic bullshit bought from Boots and Slimming World and stuff like that?
Kind of. It was Lighter Life, the one. I'm allowed to say it.
Yeah, say whatever you want. It's fucking...
I don't know if you're like, ah.
Yeah, say it.
Yeah, it was Lighter Life. So it was like costing me like £90 a week just to get shakes and soups and stuff. You go in, get weighed, they give you basically just starve you. You get £90. I have to pay £90 a week for the privilege.
£90 a week to be starved, yeah.
So after like, I think I'd been there about 2 or 3 months. I'd lost about 2 or 3 stone. And then I was like, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. So the thing that I'd said to the lady, I was like, oh, I'm going to leave now. Like, I'm this far on my journey. I'm confident I can do it on my own. And she said, as I was leaving, she turned around and said to me, we'll see you. You'll be back. Nobody can do it on their own. So straight away I thought, wait and see. So then I went to the gym, started just eating healthier. And I did lose a lot of my weight. I lost like nearly 7 stone in total. So that was the ending bit. Was
in
just
what period of time?
That was only about 6-7 months from start to finish.
7 stones? That's a stone a month?
Yeah.
Wow.
But then, like I say, about 4 stone was in the first few months, and that's when I was basically starving, eating soups and shakes and whatever. And from then, I started feeling sick more. Then I started going on my journey, so I lost all my weight. I was quite happy at that point. And then I had a breakdown of a relationship. Then I started drinking, because I was in my relationship from like 15 till 20. So then I'd lost my weight, and then I was like drinking more, just going out, partying all the time. And then I started to feel my weight creeping back on. But because I'd only, when I lost my weight, dealt with losing the weight, I hadn't dealt with why I gained the weight in the first place. I then went back to using food as a comfort. So then I could feel my clothes getting tight again. And rather than being strong enough and being like, right, it's because I'm eating too much, I was like, oh, I'm just going to keep eating. And then one day I felt really sick and had really bad belly aches. I was like, oh, just make myself sick. So I did, because I was like, I can do it just this once because it's how I'm feeling. But then it got into a habit, I guess, and a pattern. So if I felt alone, sad, whatever, I'd go and binge and eat. And then, because I didn't want to get big again, I'd go make myself sick. And then in the end, it got to the point where you had no control over it, and it consumed everything.
Yeah.
And that's when I went to doctors. They literally just put me on pills. Pills just numb everything. They don't help anything. It just numbs you, so you don't have any kind of feelings, any kind of emotion. It's just, in my opinion, made me worse. Then I went to see a counsellor, and she was trying to teach me CBT and all these different things. And I remember one point sat with this lady, and she was bigger than I had ever been. And I remember sat there, and I remember thinking, how can you be telling me how to eat and deal with food when you obviously use food as a comfort for yourself? Mm-hmm. And I said it to her, and she was a bit like, oh. And I was like, I had no respect for her in that context, in that environment, because she was telling me something and not doing it herself. So I felt like that triggered me quite a bit, and I was a bit worse. What point? Well, between all that as well, I did stop for a period, if you like, when I found out I was pregnant, which was, now it's like, oh, well, obviously I was putting, at that point, even though I hadn't had my baby was more important than me at that time. Mm-hmm. So I was able to just stop. But again, I had the wrong mindset of I was going to get weight and going to put weight on and get big anyway, being pregnant. so I can just eat everything again. So I did. During my pregnancy, I put on like nearly 5 stone. And then after I'd had Tia, I breastfed and I exercised and I ate well. And I'd lost most of that weight by the time she was 6 months and I was fine. Again, then I went and got into, I'd had lots of issues with Tia's dad, and me and him split up when she was about 5 months old, and I was really low mentally, literally everywhere. I was really, really low, and it convinced me that I'd be alone forever and no one would want a single mum and all this lot. So then I got into a relationship when Tia was just for her first birthday. So I've been on my own about 7 or 8 months. And he became very controlling, very fast and all sorts. So again, I then turned back to food and bulimia was back kind of thing. And then one day when Tia was about, I think she was about 4, she'd gone to my mum's for a night, and my mum said to me the next day, oh, Tia had her pudding, and then said something about needing to go to the toilet to be sick. And I was like, oh my God. Like, she was always in bed or at school or, not school, nursery at that point, or anything like that, when I was being ill or being sick, making myself sick. So then I was like, she knows. How does she know? So then straight away I was like, I need to do something. So then I started working, doing my inner work, I guess, and really healing from the inside, questioning why I was doing it, what I was doing it for. And it all went back to childhood for me. So then it was just healing that trauma energy, releasing it and changing. Basically. But it's a big journey. It was mindset, it was healing my energy, trauma energy, healing everything, literally healing my gut health part of that as well, because that's mental health related to gut health. That was it really.
Wow. Did you find out how Tia knew? Have you ever asked her?
No, I haven't.
No.
She see, this is the other thing, I suppose. I don't know if that was my mum did know and was using Tia to get to me that way. I don't know. Maybe I might ask my mum actually.
Because it would be a very odd thing for a child. He didn't even know what bulimia was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it would be an odd thing for a child to hear their mum being sick and have the capacity to either find the information out or have the common sense or the gut instinct to figure it out themselves, that was linked to an eating disorder or whatnot.
Yeah.
So it Occam's razor again, isn't it?
Yeah.
The most likely scenario is
Mum probably
your
did
mum
know.
was manipulating or said the odd thing here and there.
Yeah.
Because it's slightly more light-hearted. I love watching those videos where you'll see the little kid and they'll go, fuck off. And you're like, they're totally innocent, but they've picked up on the fact that what mum said.
Yeah.
There was one I watched the other day, and this bloke, English bloke, he sat there and his daughter's reading, and he's like, so then, Lauren, what's this one say? And she's like, see, cat. And he's like, yeah, good girl. And he's like, you might not be able to get the next one. Mummy calls dad this a lot. She went, cunt. And everybody in the room's like laughing. And you're thinking, God, she's obviously picked up, because you imagine how many words somebody says in a day.
Absolutely.
But the children are so intuitive that they go, that word is different to the other words. And I don't know why. I don't hear it as much. And then they start to, parrot it out again.
Little sponges, aren't they?
Little sponges. But, so coming back to your situation, there is a possibility that Tia did pick up on this slight change in behaviour that wasn't what she would classify as normal. I don't know. It's a weird one. It's a weird one.
She's a very clever kid, though.
Yeah.
Like, incredibly clever. She's very switched on.
Yeah.
So
which is what you want.
Past it. Yeah, absolutely.
Which is what you want,
yeah,
of
100%.
course. So no relapses in that?
No.
For how long?
About 6 years now.
6 years?
Yeah.
And then your fibromyalgia that we spoke about last time, 4 years?
Yeah, nearly 5 years, but 4 years. Yeah, but they're all going all that all went together, I believe. I believe it was all connected, all back to childhood and trauma and energy, because we are energy. Like, even this mic, physical in front of us, is 99.99% energy and only 0.01% matter. So it's like, it's nothing, really. It's more nothing than something. So we're energy, we're the same. So as I've mentioned before, our energy bodies inside our physical bodies, they'll hold on to everything you've ever experienced as like an energetic diary. So all the good and the bad, your body holds on to. And if you don't consciously change that energy, it stays stagnant and it stays as what it is or what it was. So you have to do the inner work. That's why healers are not... Healers don't go around healing people. You trigger the healing in somebody. They have to heal themselves. It's everything. Everyone can heal themselves.
I'm going to play, not devil's advocate, I don't really know what the word is, but some of the toughest, meanest, best soldiers, warriors were bullied.
Yeah.
Some of the best healers, emotionally, high emotional IQ and things like that, like yourself, have gone through all of this shit. Is the world a better place with those things that have happened to certain people?
Oh, yeah.
And transform them into something? Because, you know what I mean? It's crazy, isn't it? You
100%.
know, and bullying's a difficult one, isn't it? But that low-level bullying that happens at school sometimes brings out, like you said, whoever it was said to you, you're never going to do this on your own. All of a sudden, that woke something up in you that maybe wouldn't have been woken up if it was all this nicey-nicey and this and that and the other. And, you know, that childhood trauma that you suffered, you know, however horrendous it would have been at the time, and, you know, even now, you know, and I don't even know what it is. We've never discussed it, but it's obviously enough to have triggered certain things. You are today what you are because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't change anything.
And I think that's potentially the biggest growth mindset that anybody can have. Shit's happened to me, but I am exactly where I am today because of all of the things that have happened to me.
100%.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that life would be better or worse. It just means it would be entirely different.
Yeah.
And I think once you understand that, it's like when people that are addicted, people that have got an addiction, the first thing they need to do is admit they've got an addiction.
Yeah. 100%.
Rather than, I'm fine, I can stop drinking whenever I want to do. I didn't have a drink last week. And equally, when you admit to yourself that, do you know what, some fucked up shit did happen in my past, but I'm going to use that now to grow from it and learn how to heal it and come to terms with it.
That's free will, isn't it?
Oh, free will. I've been watching an awful lot of things recently that that are suggesting that no, free will is not a thing. It's not a thing.
It's not a choice.
So I watched it was a podcast, but it was almost a debate, and it was Ben Shapiro, who is American. He's not a politician, but he's got a lot of political views. He's Jewish, has an awful lot to say about the LGBTQ community and whatnot. It doesn't go with his religion. And he was debating a guy at Oxford University, very intelligent person, but they were talking about the Bible. And this guy, you know, it was almost like he'd got a photographic memory of things in the Bible that were said and happened that were completely contradictory to most other things. And he was absolutely schooling this Ben Shapiro, but Ben Shapiro was coming at the idea of free will is a real thing. And this guy went into this whole convoluted explanation. And he said, okay, so the idea of free will can't work because if you believe in a God and a spiritual and this and that and the other, and everything is preordained, then there is no free will because that's already been pre-planned out for you. If you believe that the thoughts and the processes that are going on in your head are down to your... And he said it in a far more articulate way, but also ultimately boiling down to the fact that if you believe it's neurons and chemicals that are firing, that are doing this, and you are not in control of any of those things, just like you're not in control of digesting your food consciously, you can think about it. You can't stop your heart from beating by thinking about it. Yeah. And if you take this whole consciousness idea down to it's a neuron firing in the brain that fires another neuron. We have no control over that. So equally, what happens as a result of those neurons and things and chemical processes going on in your body, that means that there can't be free will because we can't control that at that level. And it was a very interesting, you know, I've never really deeply thought about free will. Perhaps.
But then you could look at that another way. And if all the neurons and everything in our brain is fired and connected due to our gut health, due to what we've put into our gut, then maybe there is a connection there. Maybe when you eat in the junk and the food that causes issues in your gut, it does fire things off wrong. So can you take it back that deep to that being your free will? But then if you don't have the consciousness and the awareness of it, then you're not going to do anything about it. Whereas if you are conscious and aware of it, then you've got that choice to make you've got that choice then, haven't you, that free will, whether you consciously still put those foods into your belly that are going to send your neurons crazy or not.
Yeah, but it was just a very, very, very good conversation, and you know, it was more towards the sort of, you know, one of the things that he was saying was he was essentially saying the problem with very religious people that follow the Bible, you know, and say that it's true or whatever it is. They pick and choose the things that they follow.
Yeah.
And he gave an example of there's a part in the Bible that says if your son is, and it specifically said son, mentioned nothing about daughters, if your son is unruly, doesn't listen, is lazy, is all of these things that teenagers tend to be, you should take them out to the villagers and the elders of the village and stone him to death.
Wow.
And this is, you know, this absolutely is in the Bible.
Yeah.
And what he was saying was, but we don't do that now.
No.
So why is that any more or less relevant than something that you follow to the T now?
Yeah.
And he couldn't answer it. You know, this guy was unbelievable. I mean, he was like, yes, it's such and such, verse such and such, thou shalt not do, and it's like flipping it. You know, this guy's obviously deeply involved in all of this, but has come out the side of it and going, actually, I don't think that this can be true, because how can that be true? But yet this is not true. You know, talking about slavery.
Yeah.
You know, and it was almost a blueprint as how to have a slave. And if you have a slave and they've been a slave for something like 7 years, but they've met a woman and married, the man is allowed to leave after 7 years, but the wife and children are still belong to the slave master.
Blimey.
Yeah, and all of and again, I'm not being able to do this verbatim because I can't remember. But you're thinking, it makes sense. You know, there's so many of these silly things that are in there that you would look at now and you go, "No, that's nonsense." Yeah. But yeah, the other side of things, that if it does resonate with you, then you go, "Oh yeah, but that's true." Well, it can't. You pick and choose. It's either all true, or it's all not true.
Yeah.
Because, you know.
And could these things have been like, it was relevant back then? Like you said at the start.
Yes.
Back in some time ago, they would have just known what they knew in their areas because they weren't able to access the information from everywhere else. So maybe they did follow it more then because that's all they knew. Yeah. I don't know.
Yes, but it just opens up a whole new, and you know, and I always like to just, like I say, when you listen to somebody that understands things at that level, arguing with somebody that is devout in their beliefs for such and such a reason, you then start to get a feel for it. And Ben Shapiro was kind of, he didn't really know what to say.
Yeah.
Yet you hear him just speaking to people with no dialogue between somebody that knows what they're talking about, and it comes across as very, very intelligent and believable, and because most people don't know very much about most things.
Yeah.
We know a bit about some things, and some of us are specialists in some things. And when you hear somebody talking with authority about something that you're not too clued up about, it's very easy to then go, I believe that.
That's true.
It's what politics is. You know, we're going to use convoluted words and words that most people don't understand the real meaning of to get our point across, and to almost fool them into just going, well, they clearly know what they're talking about, so we'll just let them crack on, rather than deeper into it, which
Questioning
boils back down to what you're saying, you know, the doctors and the pharmacologists and things like that. It's easy to go in and then bombard you with these words and these drugs, and you go, all right, you seem to know what you're doing.
Yeah, so you just take it freely.
So you take it free, yeah.
Yeah.
But then the other side of me is going, every person can't know everything about everything.
Yeah.
There has to be a level of us going, I'm now going to trust that person to a larger extent, because they have worked in finance their whole life and they know about all of the things that I don't know about. So, but then that's room for being, you know, used and abused. I don't know. It's a tough one.
I think there's a difference as well, though, between being taught something in a setting, like going back to when I was a dental nurse, because I was a dental nurse, did all the qualifications and courses and everything else, and I did radiography and all that lot. So I was a dental nurse, been doing it for 13 years, had all this knowledge, thought I had all this knowledge, and then, because that's what I was taught, but then when I actually left dental nursing and went and looked into different things for myself and started reading studies and looking at data and things, there was so much contradicting evidence to what I'd been taught by the dental schools to what was actually in these studies. So it's like, if I hadn't have gone and tried to educate myself on things, I would still be in the thought of the things that I was taught, even though it might not necessarily be true now. So I think that depends on how much knowledge, if you want to educate yourself or be educated, I think. That sounded good. So educating yourself.
It's probably a clip, yeah. Educate yourself or be educated. Or medicated.
Yeah, this is it.
Medicated and educated.
There we go.
There we go. Oh,
I like
there's
that.
a T-shirt. Hashtag medicated and educated.
I like it.
A lot of people would buy
educated.
No, but you imagine if you go and have a look at 100 people outside today, how many of them are medicated and educated?
None. Hardly any.
No, they are. Most of them are.
Oh, yes. Not educated themselves.
They've not educated themselves. They're educated and they're medicated.
Yeah. This is, going back, there's a story I took my mum to. My mum has got loads of health conditions, bless her. But because she's in that generation of trust the doctors, they know what they're doing, that's what she had been doing. So she's got all these different things going on with her. She had, honestly, lists and lists and lists of medications that, well, it would just knock out a horse, the amount of stuff they'd put her on. And she would continuously get in another symptom or getting worse. Nothing was ever getting better. So I actually went to her doctor's appointment with her. And this was after I'd been looking into alkaline. I'd done my healing. I'd knew about acidosis, things like this. And I said to my mum's doctor with her, I was like, could all the medications that you've put my mum on be causing acidosis? And the doctor just kind of looked at me, and I was a bit like, do you know what acidosis is? And she's like, well, no, I don't really. And honestly, it literally blew my mind, because to me, that should be something that she should have known, because it's a side effect of all the medications that she's prescribing. So when I explained to her what acidosis was, then she was like, oh, yes, they could be, yes. And I was just like, wow, you've given all these medications to how many people, knowing they're getting worse, and just giving them more and not knowing about acidosis. And I was just like, blew my mind.
It's crazy. I don't know if you watched the last one, but I've had a young lad who's a junior doctor come on here a couple of times now, and he's quite an awakened chap, and he was talking about all of these types of different things, and we had this conversation the last time, and I think artificial intelligence is going to play a huge role in the medical industry very soon, because that doctor that your mum went to speak to, although she should have known this, there is no way a human being can know every medication, its side effects, how it reacts with other medications, the things that can come as a secondary or third or whatever symptom of these things. AI can.
Yeah.
But to a larger extent, becoming a medical doctor attracts a certain type of person that is able to memorize things. But those people are not always the most caring, sociable, mentally adaptable and compassionate and empathetic. And I can see there coming a time where your medical doctors are a little bit more that way, because all of the hard work and graft mentally is being offloaded onto an artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Because you imagine if your mum had gone to see a very, very compassionate, loving, caring, I don't care, we've only got 5 minutes. If we need 25 minutes, that's what we're going to do today, because I understand that. She may never have gone down the route of needing all of these things, because I'm a firm believer that it's like what you're saying, we're all energy. If you're going to see a doctor that is watching their watch every 5 minutes because they want to get on their lunch break, they've had a bit of an argument with the reception staff because they've not done something, they had a few too many drinks the night before, you're sitting in front of them and they really couldn't give a shit.
Absolutely.
They want you in and they want you out. And that's what it becomes.
100%.
And it's very stressful, I understand that, and I could never do it. And we all have bad days. But I do think that, she should have known that.
Yeah.
I think Jamie was saying the last time he was in here as well that something to do with the wrong prescriptions and the wrong doses being given out by people, because the analogy that I've got is you and I have both got iPhones. We probably know about 10% of what that iPhone can do.
Yeah.
Because it's the same things we do every day. We go onto Facebook. I'm always amazed when I go on these 10 hidden things you never knew your iPhone could do. And you go onto it and they're deep in these settings. There's all kinds of things and you're thinking, wow, I never knew it could do that. But that's because my life is just TikTok, YouTube, SMS, WhatsApp. That's it. Boom, 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 boom. And equally, a nurse or a doctor that is only ever dealing with depression, anxiety, bad stomach cramps, COVID, whatever it is, their life becomes this very narrow tunnel, and they don't ever sway out of it. So all of a sudden now, you're really good at that narrow band, but you've neglected all of this and all of this. I was talking to my mate the other day, and he was like, oh, you're going to buy the new Grand Theft Auto when it comes out. I says, I probably will, but what I find with these kind of games nowadays is I've spent 2 or 3 hours on it, learning the buttons and what I'm doing. Then I don't play it for 2 weeks. And then I go back to playing it. I've forgotten where I am, where the buttons are, what I'm doing with it. And it puts me off. Now, you imagine if your life is this very narrow thing, you don't do any of these other things, all of a sudden you get thrown a curveball like, what is acidosis? And the doctor's like, I can't remember. And I think all of that can be offloaded to AI.
Good point.
I really do think that that's where it will go, and we're going to get these healers and these caring people.
Have you seen them? Sorry, med beds. I've seen it. I was showing a video the other day on them. I was at a sore point. Should I not have said that word? Sorry.
Come on. I was just starting to get to like you, Charlotte.
Sorry. Do you not agree with them? I thought that's what you're coming to, isn't it? Because they're like frequency and energy, and it's AI. No.
The medbed thing, for me, it was all wrapped up with this bullshit Nasara Jasara stuff. So these knobheads that believed in this.
I do, I see that.
The financial... So it all goes back to this QAnon garbage of President Trump is still the president and Biden's just this, and all of the debts are going to be wiped out, and all of the people... And it all piled into one, that everybody's debts are going to get written off. We're all going to be billionaires and this, that, and that. This was all supposed to have happened last year. It didn't happen. It's never going to happen. But they've also now tied in this medbed nonsense and stuff like that.
Okay.
I think we are decades away from anything like that actually happening.
Have you not seen that video?
Which one?
I'll
It's
have to
probably
send
CGI.
It could be.
Let's see it.
It's on TikTok.
Oh.
I took a screenshot of it to send it to somebody the other day. It's this bed. It's like a big... It looks like a
spaceshipy Star
thing.
Trek type thing.
It's got like a little computer at one end, and then it's got some blue lights in it, and then it just spins. On the video that I watched. Yes, that's it.
It's a CGI generated image.
Is it?
Yes. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
But
TikTok is not real.
No, I didn't know that was that. But frequency, like this, take back to that energy wand I've got, frequency wand. That's at a cellular level, it changes the frequency of the things. So there was one guy who had, I think it was colon cancer, and was wanding 5 times a day, and then 6 months later, he no longer has it. And it's this frequency from this wand that changes it. There is some, well...
Have 10,000 people done that?
I don't know.
Because, and this is where it comes back to, this is what science is. So that might happen. So my knees might be feeling better because I've changed my diet. We wouldn't know that until we did 10,000 people. And we said, right, you've all got a very similar level of arthritis in your knees. You are all a very similar age. So, ladies and gentlemen, on the screen is the video from TikTok of the CGI-generated med bed.
But then, if that's CGI and CGI is so good, then literally
I don't think that looks so good. That looks like an Xbox 360 game. Yeah.
I don't watch much. I only watch TikTok. I don't watch TV, right? So I don't really know. Or games. I don't know what games looks like either, to be honest.
Yeah, there's way better than that. Way better. Now, there is a med bed type thing that Joe Rogan has bought. It's $132,000, and it's called a red light bed.
Oh, okay.
Dana White, the guy that runs the UFC and all of this, he's got one. And see if you can bring it up, Ben. It's red light. It looks like a hyper sunbed.
Okay.
It's red light therapy. That's exactly what it is.
There's quite a lot of. I've seen quite a lot of that at the moment.
But this one that Joe Rogan's bought, he bought it off of the guy makes it. You know, the chap that we've spoken about before. He's really into the health and stuff like that. He's quite jacked. Yes, it's his business, or it's his, here they are. These types of things.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people doing these.
Now they are legit. I mean, that one's $7,000. The one that Derek endorses or works with, it was $132,000, and Joe Rogan's bought one. I don't know the science behind it or whatever, but the ideas of med beds came from science fiction films. So there's a couple of films. I think one of them is Prometheus, which was a prequel to the Alien films, and what I'm a firm believer in is all of these conspiracy type things, there's a thread of evidence and a thread of reality with all of them. So something like that, yeah, but could possibly work. And then somebody sees a science fiction movie and they're like, oh, you know, that could work. And then they hear a rumour. There it is, $119,000 red therapy. And I don't know what this does. Now, I'm not saying that a med bed could never, ever be something, but I don't think we're anywhere near. So it looks like a sunbed, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Is it just the frequency again, isn't it? Because they're full of oxygen, which is the alkaline.
This one will set you back about $119,000. Or you do the free version and get natural sunlight in the morning. Expose your skin to natural sunlight. You do not have to drop $119,000 on a red light bed. God gives it to you free every single day.
Well, he's just tanked his sales, hasn't he, of that? So when I say med beds are bullshit and whatnot, and then the conspiracy theorists come at me and say, no, they're not. The government just don't want them to be out there. This is out there.
Yeah.
This is probably as close as we're going to get to it at the minute. And that's out there. It's a private company. If there was an opportunity for somebody to make a shitload of money, then they would be doing it. So, yeah, I think one day we might. I don't think we're anywhere near that. I think that's probably as close to it as you can get. But yeah, he's just turned around and says, "Well, just go and get some sunlight." Ooh, which is kind of oh yeah, fucking hell. Terrible weather. What was I going to say to you? I was going to say something. I was watching it reminded me then when he was talking about infrared light and different lights. I was watching this thing the other day. And remember when you used to go to the cinema, you used to have a red and a blue like glasses that made it 3D?
Yeah.
So some bloke, for whatever reason, took them out, put them together and put them over his iPhone lens and started filming the sky, and it's full of UFOs.
Really?
Like literally full of UFOs. See if you can pull it up. Yes.
Wow.
I don't know why, and apparently it blocks out visible light and all of these other lights, the way that it's done. And whatever time in the day he does it, and it's full. Like hundreds and hundreds of these things.
Really?
Yes. And I don't know if it's a pure hoax or whatever it is, but I was like,
or is that
wow.
CGI? Is it CGI?
I don't know.
I'm going to have to try this now. I'm going to order some glasses.
Yeah. So I don't know what setting it was on, but he basically put the red and the blue lens together and put that over the camera of his thing, and he was just started filming the sky. And then when he was watching it back or something like that, it was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And then he's holding it up, and he's videoing the sky, and then he puts the lens in, and all of a sudden they're all there, and then takes it away, and they're not. And I think, ooh.
That's weird.
Probably bullshit, but it was interesting.
Well, then we can only see such a tiny amount, though, can't we?
Yes.
Like literally everything around us, where it looks like there's nothing, it's still full of something. It's still full of energy.
We got it, Ben.
We're on such a low frequency.
Not yet.
Yes. Everything's frequency. Everything's energy.
Everything's light.
Yeah. Which is a frequency.
People don't realise that radio waves are light.
Yeah.
It's all light. I've seen some experiments where they've been able to.
You know those 3D glasses that are red on one side and blue on the other, and you get them.
I think this is just a guy explaining it. Yeah, it is. There is actual videos of the guy doing it. So yeah, he's a guy explaining it. I've seen these things. I don't know where it was, and they're able to, even if it's just for the 100th of a second, make light solid.
Okay.
Make something solid for a split second. I forget what they called them, light tubules or light tubes or something like that, which their thought process is, once they've been able to do this, it's going to be many, many times more conductive than wires and things like that. It's going to be like the next optic fibers and things like that. So light is everything.
Yeah.
Is everything. Which then you go back to the Bible, and that's kind of what it said at the start, doesn't it? And you're thinking, I don't know, maybe there might be something that people knew back then that we don't now. But yes, it's all very odd. But you can't find it. I don't even know what it was, but it was. I
always find this. You find something or watch something, and then when you want to go back and watch it, it's disappeared.
Yes.
It's really frustrating. I did it. It was happening.
Here it is.
Studies. Oh.
I'm sure this is it. No, but you saw something fly across there. No, this thing. It might have been bullshit. It might have been absolute bullshit.
Or it wasn't, which I can't find it now.
Or it wasn't. But you see, the thing is now, it's. Yeah, I've seen these videos before where people are going, oh, look, there's another sun behind the sun, or there's another planet behind the sun. You never see these things other than on a camera, on a video recording. And, once you're going through lenses and iPhones and electronics and software, nobody's ever looked at the sun and saw something behind it, or so a lot of these things, although could be getting to a stage where we're going to be able to start seeing things better because technology is better, I think there's even more opportunity for it to be scammed, like the medbed thing. To somebody that's never seen it, it's clearly obviously CGI, but you're like, oh my god, that could be real, that could be amazing.
But then lenses I believe do pick up things that our eyes can't. Dogs and animals can see because they've got on a different frequency, different spectrum. I did one of my videos the other day. On my video, there's a part where this white orb literally just appeared near my arm and then moved across and then went down. And I always try and think, well, is it dust? But then I literally paused the video and enlarged it, and it was just this white, I don't know, there's just a white ball of energy. What is it? Is it an orb?
Or was it a slight malfunction in the camera? Was it a bit of particle of dust? Yeah, do you know, it's...
But I had something weird happen in my kitchen the other week, so I've not been in my house for very long. I've been there about 8 weeks, and I've had 2 different things. So I had one night, I was in bed, heard a noise downstairs, thought nothing really of it, went down in the morning, and I had a bag that was on a top shelf in the kitchen, and that was in the middle of the kitchen floor, and I thought, that's weird. Thought if it had fallen out, it should have just fallen out of the cupboard onto the worktop and maybe slipped onto the floor. But this was like the other side of the kitchen. Ignored it. And then last week, dogs were upstairs, Tia was in bed. It was 1:30 in the morning, everyone was asleep. And then there was this huge bang, and it woke me up. The dog started going crazy. I was a bit like, oh, Tia woke up. And I stood at the top of the stairs and I was listening. I was like, well, there's nobody downstairs, can't hear anything. If anything, the dogs probably scared them off because they sound like vicious dogs when they're barking. So I went back to bed, went downstairs in the morning, and on the same shelf, I had a big heavy wooden tray. And that had gone from the shelf and was now at my front room door. And I'm a bit like, how the hell did that happen? So then I stood the tray up. I was literally pulled the tray towards me to try and fling it off, and because it was heavy on the back, it just plinged back, it kept going backwards. And literally I was pulling it and it still went back. So I was like, well, how the hell did that happen then? And now in my kitchen, when I'm in the kitchen doing videos, I keep seeing them. There was one a couple of weeks ago, this like orb, if you like, this white thing.
So have you ever seen one of them with your eyes, or is it always when it's on camera?
I've only ever seen them on camera, but Tia sees things. And I see colours every now and again. I'll have random flashes of blue. It's normally blues and purples, and they're normally long lines, like a long line flash. I see them every now and again, but Tia sees things quite often. But years ago, when I was a dental nurse, I was in one of these dentists that I was working at. It was a really old building, and when I went upstairs, you felt like you were being watched, like you could just feel something. So I went up one day because I've seen orbs or seen something on my phones for a long time at random places or something. So I went upstairs with my phone and I was like, if there's anybody here, please like show yourself. And I shit you not, this massive orb came in from one side of the camera, and it wasn't like a dust where it just flutters down. It literally comes in and across and then darts across. And I was like, whoa. So then I was recording and asking questions, and it seemed like something was appearing at the same time or answering of a question. That can't just be coincidence, can it?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to it. It's
Could not be lens flare.
Could be, yeah. It could be lens flare. It could be any of those things. How many red cars did you pass on your way here?
No idea.
If I'd have said to you before you came,
Yeah.
I'm going to give you £50 for every red car you see on the way,
Yeah.
would you know?
Yeah, because then you look out for it, don't you?
Correct.
Same when you get a new car, isn't it?
Correct.
You see
So
them all.
are you looking for things or
Maybe.
more in tune to looking for things because of the way that you are?
Yeah, maybe. Absolutely.
Possibly. I don't know the answer to it. You know,
Yeah.
if you're a non-believer in everything, you don't see anything.
Yeah.
If you believe in everything and you believe that aliens are real and ghosts are real, and then you might start to see something in everything. And oh my God, look at the cloud out there. That looks like the shape of the devil or whatever it is. So I think there's always an element of that.
You'll need to watch the video.
But equally, yeah, I have no idea. You know, I've had
doesn't
some
look like
weird
dust.
things. No.
You got the video?
Well, there's the one that I did the other day in my kitchen that's just got like the little orb that goes past.
Is it on TikTok?
But yeah, that
Come
one
on.
is.
Let's get it on.
It's I was having a rant on that video.
We like rants.
It's on the rant video.
It was. I think I saw the rant video. The rant video. Hey, I liked that video where you did your happy dance. What did that woman cure herself of? Was it a woman?
Yeah, she was on like 69 tablets a day for
Yes.
fibromyalgia. So it's again just throwing medications at you to hide or mask the
So
symptoms.
she was on. Say that again. 69
I'm sure it was
tablets a
69,
day.
Yeah, 9 times a day she was taking gabapentin. 300 milligrams.
What's that? What is that supposed to do?
It's supposed to give you pain relief, but it doesn't. It gives you new symptoms. But yeah, all those
And she's now on to
nothing.
nothing.
Nothing
In the space of how long?
She didn't say how long. She just said it since she's been following me and introducing things to her life that I recommend.
Wow.
Yeah, amazing.
That is amazing, isn't it?
It is.
That is amazing.
I've
But
had a
again,
few-
what we really need to start doing is we need to have 1,000 of these people or 10,000 of these people, and then you can really start getting into the nitty gritty of it and go, well, actually, okay, well, 5 of them really responded well, 5 of them really didn't respond well, and then 500 of them maybe, do you know what I mean? And and then you can start really boiling it down to, and that's why when people go, oh, you know, you can't believe scientists. When you hear the word scientist, it's you've got this person in a white lab coat and they've got the glasses on and, you know, they're potions and this and that and the other. When really, a scientist is just somebody that has a series of observations and they test a different hypothesis and they're going, right, Charlotte's come to us and she's told us that she's had really good results with eating this, and this, and not eating this, and this. She's done it with 3 people and all 3 of them have really responded well. Let's see if we can put that out to 300 people now and see if it is an anomaly or if it's, oh, actually there's something here. Now, the problem would then be, my guess is, somebody starts to find that this is working, and then a pharmaceutical company goes, right, what is it about these foods that we can replicate in a lab, put it into a pill and sell it to somebody?
But you'd have to add in a few extra little toxins as well.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. But it's like we've said, it's money.
Yeah.
We found a cure for this using something natural.
That can't be patented.
They then go, how can we capitalise on that and make it as cheaply as possible and sell it for as high a price as we can? And that's what we do.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm convinced that that's the way that the world is,
Yeah.
rather than this nefarious group of people that want to depopulate the planet, that want to segregate people and get people fighting over this, that and the other. I don't think people are coordinated enough to do that. It's the money.
Yeah, it's all about money.
It's all about the money.
100%. But then when you go looking at the pharmaceutical companies, though, they're the same owners as everything.
Yes. And look, their job is to earn as much money for their shareholders a year. And rebranding the next new drug or doing trials on something that's going to yield results that might be slightly positive but might not be, as long as they can keep selling their paracetamol or whatever it might be, they're going to keep doing that. And that's you know, it's like when you and I were sat here an hour ago and you started telling me about this and the other. I'm thinking business.
Yeah.
How can she make money off this? What could she do? What could she do? Well, it's not a far cry away from somebody coming to you and saying, look, we know you're the wellness coach, but we're going to give you $10 million if you just promote our product a little bit as well and don't delve too deep. And I don't know if it was you and I that spoke about this or if it was me and Jamie. At what point does a human being cross the line? What's the monetary figure?
I think everyone would like to think you wouldn't you?
You would, yeah. You would like to think so.
But
I'm not sure that we're any different to the 50 billion people that have passed and the 50 billion people that are going to be there.
Yeah.
You know.
I guess you can't answer it until you're in that position. But I'd like to think of
You'd like to think, no, I'm not doing that. Where does our integrity become so tested? You know, it's one of those crazy things, isn't it? What's the craziest thing you'd do for 100 quid? I don't know, maybe
not a lot for
chuck dog shit at somebody else. Do you know what I mean? Something like that. Okay, what's the craziest thing you do for £1,000? Oh. And then you just go, oh, so what's the craziest thing you do for $1 million? Now all of a sudden we're talking, probably eat a dog shit sandwich. Okay, what would you do for $1 billion? Probably feed the dog shit sandwich to my kids. The framework that we put it in completely changes it. Because you wouldn't eat a dog shit sandwich for a tenner.
Yeah,
No
true.
chance. You probably would for 10 million.
Yeah, you'd certainly consider it, wouldn't you?
And they can be so persuasive. Well, the medical trials have only really shown 4 or 5 bad reactions out of 55,000. So, and then all of a sudden you're selling it to yourself.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And like you say, we all would like to believe that we've got this inner integrity and this, but then you've told them no, and they're waiting in the background, and then all of a sudden they realise that Tia wants to go to Oxford University, and Mum can't really afford it, and then you get a knock on the door, and it's like, we'll take care of that, don't worry. What do you mean you take care? No, don't do anything. We'll take care of that. And all of a sudden, it's just so manipulative, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's the crux of, I'm convinced that's the crux of all of the evils, all of the wrongs in the world.
Yeah.
And I think whilst we're trying to figure out all of these social dynamics and geopolitics, I think what we really need to figure out is how can we get people to work hard, innovate without money?
Yeah. Like they used to, wasn't it? They used to do trades rather than...
They did, but I don't think we would be in the situation we are today if that had continued. Yeah. Because there has to be something to strive for. And the second that money's invented, well, I want to get 10 million, but that person wants 50 million and 100 million. The only reason that iPhone 15's out now is because they've earned money from the different iterations. They've probably got the technology to do an iPhone 17 now, but they'll bring the 16 out because there's more money, and then there's more money. So, why... You seem to be the kind of person that's doing things because you enjoy doing it and helping people and all of those things.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure there are many people out there that are like that, but equally, you still need a roof over your head.
Yeah.
You still need a holiday every year or whatever it might be. And that always boils down to fucking money, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's why I got my van.
There used to be a website, I can't remember what it was called, and you used to be able to trade things for things. So I could go on there and find somebody that wanted, I need my haircut. So I could go on there and I could say, I'll trade you a haircut for a tennis lesson.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called, and I don't even know if it's still a thing.
Yeah.
But, I need an electrician to come and have a look at, something in the house. Okay, what can I offer you? Well, I'll teach you how to run your TikTok account.
Cool.
Something I would charge for, something you would charge for. We've come together and we've done the transaction, but there's been no middleman. There's been no money involved.
Yeah.
But how do you expand that then to going to Tesco's and getting a loaf of bread?
Yeah. But then that's where you come into the small businesses, then, isn't it? Like you want your baker, who you will give some eggs to.
Yep.
For your loaf.
But then how is he going to pay for his product or the ingredients needed, because he's having to work with the manufacturer, because the manufacturer... So there's a potential there that it could work, but then what if you get some lazy bastard that goes, fuck this, I'm not going to give anything out, I'm just going to take. How do you then force that person to do all of these other things? You know what I mean?
They can't take though, can they? They can't have anything if they're not helping, if they're not giving anything.
Yeah, I guess so.
But then that brings it back to like the smaller communities as well then, doesn't it? Like speaking to your local farmer and keeping it local and small, back into your little villages.
But we then start knowing what most of the favours one particular gender will be offering, don't we? Which brings us full circle again to what's the oldest job in the world. And
yeah, true.
Yeah. And it's crazy when you start thinking about it, you get these great ideas and then you go, yeah, but we're humans and the women are all just going to be sucking dick and all the men are going to be farming and this and that and the other, and then that's going to cause its own issues. And we're going to be back to the 1800s and Jack the Ripper's going to be running around murdering everybody again.
Yeah, true.
I'm absolutely obsessed with Jack the Ripper.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I have these
Dreams?
certain things these certain. So one of them is the Wild West.
Okay.
I have an affinity to the Wild West for no reason.
Okay.
The wooden buildings, the saloons, and the little wooden church and the school that's connected to it. No reason why, just like a kind of, not a memory, but
Past life?
something. But I also have that exact same feeling around that Jack the Ripper era, the 1800s London, that there's a draw to me for that reason. And I don't know,
Do you believe in past lives?
I don't know. Yeah, I probably do. I think I probably do.
Wonder if you got some kind of past life
Yeah.
connection to them.
Yeah, I don't know. And there's no reason why those two things should, because if you were going to bullshit somebody and say, oh yes, I remember a past life, and it's how you can always tell these scam artists, they were always the fucking king of England, weren't they? You never hear somebody that's had hypnotic regression. Never hear hypnotic regression and they go, oh yeah, I was a peasant that was begging at the side of the road and I got ran over by a horse. That never happens. It was always the fucking, oh yeah, I was Cleopatra. Oh yeah, in another life I was King Arthur. Bollocks, mate, bollocks.
This is true.
Yet these two things, I have never watched a Western movie in my life.
Have you not?
Never watched one. Have no interest in it. But have you ever been to Disneyland?
No.
So we went to Disneyland Paris with the kids probably 8 years ago. And there's all different hotels around the Disneyland resort. And one of them was a Wild West themed one. And I swear to God, as soon as we got there, I just felt at home. And it was all done out proper. They've got the saloon there and all. And it was just like, it just felt very familiar.
Okay.
Even though it was really weird, dead weird.
Yeah.
I don't know, just that feeling. And I get that same feeling when I walk around that area in London, East London. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, weird. And yet there's nothing else, if I think about, knights and castles, nothing.
Yeah.
But particularly them two time periods, I'm drawn to them.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Is there any pictures of Jack the Ripper? Do you look like him?
So they don't know who he was.
Oh.
They've still not found him. They've narrowed it down. They think it's a guy called Aaron. Google it. Aaron Kosminski or something like that. Aaron Kosminski. See, I told you. I'm just on
What
this.
does he look like?
So he was a Polish. He wasn't Leather Apron, was he? No, he was. I think he was just a Polish sort of worker in the area, and they've kind of narrowed it down. Yeah, there he is.
Oh, he's got freaky eyes, hasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
They've done some, DNA on some clothing and stuff like that. But there was a few people that they had suspected. One of them was Prince Albert, maybe. He was certainly part of the royal family. One of them was this butcher called, his nickname was Leather Apron. There was this Kosminski guy, and then there was almost an aristocrat, an American guy that had come over. Hairdresser, Aaron Kosminski. There was an American chap that he had a name like Tumblety, Francis Tumblety. So they're Walter Sickert. So these were all the kind of people that were at the time thought maybe it was. But yeah, this Aaron Kosminski is the one that they're leading towards. But again, they'll never know because they never caught him. He was the first serial killer. They had no forensic science. So they would turn up in the morning, the police, to a murder. You know, someone was being butchered on the side of the street, and they would get buckets of water and just start scrubbing the blood away and trying to get... Yeah, it was absolutely ridiculous. And he killed 8 prostitutes, I think. Catherine Eddowes was the last one. So you see, I'm into this. I'm into this. And it was around the Whitechapel area in London, which at the time was just basically slums. Okay. And it's. Did I tell you about the reason why we call it being hungover? No. So the reason we say you're hungover after you've had a few too many drinks. So back in that era, that time, they didn't have jobs. Prostitution was rife. Whatever money you could earn, you earned. And the cheapest place to sleep for the night, which is what they all had to do, nobody really had anywhere to live, there was a room outside, like a covered, but it was sort of outdoors, like a shed or something. And they used to string a rope up from one side of the room to the other, and you'd pay your whatever it was, a penny, and you would literally just hang over the rope and just you'd sleep like standing against this rope. And in the morning they used to come and cut the rope to wake you all up. And that's what they call being hungover, yeah. And that was all that era, that end of the Victorian era, 1800s. You know, it was terrible, squalor and just destitute people, nothing, no food and whatnot. But yeah, I just have a really weird affinity to that time frame and those things. So yeah, so this is. I've had loads of weird things happen to me, but I'm still not a full believer in anything.
Why?
I don't know.
How can you have all these
I don't know. I just can't let
believe?
myself. I don't know. It's
You're
weird.
the physical, logical things for everything.
I try to.
You want to be in a bit of both, don't you?
I do, and I think I will explore every avenue, but then I can find holes in them, and I go, well, that's bullshit, because most of it is bullshit. Yeah. You know, like that med bed. That's clearly CGI, but there's a lot of people out there that would have gone, oh God, that looks amazing. Well, yeah. That looks real.
I don't play games or anything, so if you're used to it, you'll know what it looks
CGI,
like.
It's fake, 100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Do you have any past lives? You were a witch, weren't you? That got burnt at the stake.
Oh, when I was a kid, I used to have I did have a reoccurring dream where I was literally a witch. And I was in I remember being in a little room, and I was stood at, like, I guess you can only say would be like a cauldron. And then there was one wall that was just full of books, and I just started spinning. Like upside down, head going to the floor, just spinning, and then I'd wake up. And I had that dream quite a lot.
At what age?
From like tiny up until, well, I last had it probably about 5 years ago. Exact same thing, where I'm just in the same place, and I'll just start spinning and then wake up. Very weird.
I don't know if you've seen it, but there was this thing that was doing the rounds a while ago on social media, and it was like, can you remember being a kid and floating down the stairs?
Yes.
And I can.
Yeah.
Not all the way. It would be almost, and I can remember you jump from 2 steps and then 3 and then 4, and then before you knew it, you were kind of halfway up the stairs, but you'd somehow be able to get to the bottom and land on the floor and not hurt yourself, and you're not falling over. And I can remember doing that and that being a thing.
Yeah. I thought he was going to say in dreams then.
No, in real life. In real life. And it's another one of these things that people remember, and they're like, oh my God, now you've said that. Yeah. I can remember. I tell you what, I did want to ask you this, and I wanted to ask anybody that's watching, get in the comments, because I thought this was just me, and everybody that I speak to, my sister was the first person that I said years and years ago, and she was like, yeah, I used to do that. Did you used to lie in bed as a kid and have to cover every single part of your body except for your head? Nothing could come out because there was something terrible that would happen. Somebody would come and get you, the boogeyman was there, something would come in. And even in the heart of summer, sweating your bollocks off, you have to be completely covered up to your neck.
Yeah. Absolutely. Tia does the same thing. She can't have any feet or any.
Yes.
Nothing can be out
And you
of the
couldn't
bed.
understand how somebody could possibly sleep with a leg out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tia-
And every person I speak to, nobody's ever discussed it before. Like,
Why
you've
is
never
that
spoke to
though?
it. You went,
does
why is that?
everybody have it?
Don't know.
Unless there's all something we subconsciously
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
That is very weird.
Did you used to do that, Ben? Can you ever remember doing that? Did you? And yeah, I'm not, no, I don't do it now. Yeah.
See, sometimes
weird
I do
thing.
it now. Normally
you?
I don't, but sometimes, yeah, I just think if I'm like, I've got a leg out the bed, I would suddenly be like, oh, best get that back in.
Yeah.
But the other day, not all the time, just sometimes. I wonder
So
what that
weird.
is. Why does everyone have it? Is it like an intuition and a natural
know.
instinct?
Does everyone have it? But everybody that I've spoken to about it have
Yeah.
gone, yeah, I used to do that. That's so weird.
Is it just an irrational childhood fear? Or is there something for it? Is there a reason for it? Is it because when you're younger, you're more sensitive to energy and more susceptible to feeling and knowing things?
Logical Nick is now starting to think, okay, well, we came out of the trees, we started living on the floor, and on the floor are snakes and bugs and rats and things like that. So you're going to sleep, put you in a very vulnerable state, very vulnerable position. It must be something to do with along those lines. I'm feeling exposed. I'm going to be unconscious for a period of hours. Probably evolutionary wise, it's something to do with that. But then you know you hear these folk stories of the thing under the bed or
Monsters Inc.
Monsters Inc., which is
Monsters coming
full of
out.
conspiracy theories.
Wow, yeah, now, yeah, yes, it is. Yes.
Are they telling us about adrenochrome?
Wow. We don't know though, do we?
Are scared children the source of energy?
Well, but then what I found fascinating, which is only something I've recently thought about, is in Monsters Inc., at the very end, they then discover that laughter
Is better.
more powerful
Yes.
than fear, which is true in reality, I believe.
Yes.
Because laughter and love is on a higher frequency than fear, which is on a low, dense frequency.
Yes.
Who knows? See, I do believe that a lot of things they do put right in front of your face, and that's due to their beliefs around karma. They believe that if you are putting it out there and telling people, then you've told them, so you don't get
It's
bad karma.
acceptance.
Because silence is compliance in their little
It's
messed
the
up
same
world.
as putting the little tiny sign up in the car park that you didn't realise was a
Yes.
car park, getting a ticket and then going, I didn't know. And they were like, there was a sign. I know it was tiny and it was over there, but there was a sign.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly like that.
Or do you think human beings just like to find patterns and conspiracy in everything?
Maybe, because now you just said about the evolution, I did watch a video, only very briefly, so I wasn't giving it my full attention, but there was a guy, he looked like he was stood on a stage with his pointy stick, and he said that if evolution is a thing and we did come from monkeys, where are all the bodies? He said there should be millions and millions and millions of bodies and bones. Where are they all?
Well, we have something called decomposing.
But bones still exist. Like, even they take forever, don't they? Like, even in America, it was in the big court thing, high court, only the other year, that they were destroying giant bones. Apparently, it was revealed that they were hiding them and burning them eventually. But that was released from the High Court, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, that they had giant bones.
I would doubt it.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's an actual thing you can find.
It's another thing on TikTok, Ben, isn't it?
No. Have a giant. It was in
CGI.
in the High Court.
CGI bones.
No, High Court. There was a High Court case about giant bones, and apparently they actually come forward and said yes, there were giants, or there was giant bones. And there's loads of photos. And I go to say CGI, but there's loads of photos of people excavating and standing next to these
They're all fake.
giant bones.
They're all fake.
They've all been
debunked. Yeah.
All of it.
I've seen them all. 100%. They didn't have cameras that good in them days.
Well, apparently they didn't have anything, no camera at all, did they? But then, like, there's also these videos of, like, early London and all the big capital cities when cameras were first a thing. And even like in midday, peak of day, they're empty. There's like literally no people around. So who was there to take it in the first place? And why was there no people there?
Or was it just fake?
Or was it just fake?
Or was
we
it just
don't
fake?
know, do we?
You know, you're touching a little bit on there something called the Tartarian Empire that a lot of these conspiracy theorists believe was a advanced this, that, and the other. And one of the, and this is, it's so easy to kind of debunk these types of things. So one of the things that they say is, the one thing that ended this Tartarian Empire was something called the mud flood.
Yeah.
Okay. And they say that the evidence for mud flood is if you go to these large cities like London, lots of places in America, you've got a door with steps leading up to it, but then you've got like a basement level and you've got like things downstairs and whatnot. And what their explanation is those buildings were actually much lower down. This mud flood came. I mean, there's one that you're talking about. That's fake. They're all fake. They're all CGI.
I can't find anything on the...
But essentially, one of the things that they're saying is you go and look around a city, and wherever you see these steps that leading up to the front door, that's a sign of mud flood. When the reality of it is, up until the 1910s, maybe 20s, every city was full of horses. Everybody had horses and carriages. And the reason that the front doors were a few steps up was because of horse shit. It was completely caked in it. And what you can see, and there's a few in the town that I live in Loughborough, outside the front doors, there was quite often this metal thing with a hole behind it, and that was there for you to scrape the shit off of your shoes before you go in. And that's where taking your shoes off to somebody's house comes from.
Okay.
The streets were full of horses, and the horses would die, they would decompose in the street, and everything was done on horse and carriages. And then the car was invented. And all of a sudden, nobody needed horses. So in America, I can't remember where it was, but it might have been New York, the government at the time were trying to do anything to try and stop this build-up of shit and decomposing horses by implementing taxes and all of this, and it didn't work. And I was watching something on this, and the comparisons are now with ULEZ and pollutant cars. And they're saying putting taxes on things is having little to no effect on the behaviour of humans. What's going to have the biggest effect on it is technology. So people are going to still start driving diesel cars in the centre of London. Doesn't matter how, if they need to do it, they're going to do it. It doesn't matter how much you charge them. And this is what happened with the horses and things in America. And they were doing more and more taxes. Henry Ford comes along, invents the car. All of a sudden, nobody needs a horse. You can't give a horse away 10 years after that. Nobody wanted one. But up till that point, that was all anybody could use. They had to use it. So no amount of taxation and legislation had any impact on it. But that's why you've got these houses or these buildings that the doors up there, steps leading into it, because the streets were covered in horse shit.
Okay.
Which is a very logical and... yeah, of course, that would have been a thing. We just don't understand that now because we've got these clean roads. But yeah, you can walk up and down a lot of the terraced houses in Loughborough. The houses that are the 1800s, they've got the signs on them, the 1800s. They've all got this scraping mechanism. And I was talking to my mate about this, who's a bit of a conspiracy theorist, and he went, do you know what? The house I lived in, my entire childhood, had one of them things at the side of the door. And I never knew what it was for. And that's what it was for, scraping dog shit and horse shit and decomposed shit and people chucking the... You know what I mean?
Interesting. Never knew that.
There you go. So when somebody starts saying, oh, it was a civilization that nobody's discovered or spoken about, everybody's keeping it a secret, and the buildings were 20 foot lower than they are today, and this mud flood came and it killed everybody, and all this technology was us. Okay... Or was it because of horse shit? And then they go,
But isn't there a statue of something somewhere where the head, we only see it as a head, and then they've started to excavate it and they've discovered it actually has a body as well?
Easter Island?
I honestly
The big
don't know.
Easter Island heads, the big
Could
things
be.
like that?
Is that?
Yeah.
What would explain that?
Well,
What
what
would
you've
your
got to think
logical
about,
thing-
what happens every year at this time of year? to
Lots
the
of rain.
trees,
Trees.
what happens?
We lose all our leaves.
We lose all the leaves. What happens to the leaves?
They compost.
Correct. You know, you take that over thousands of years, and what you're getting layer upon layer of new organic matter.
Yeah.
All mud is decomposed things, animals, plants. So 50,000 years of no cars, no people, all of a sudden what was there is now 10 feet lower
Yeah.
because of that.
But would there be enough to cover that
Yeah.
all the way up to its head? Because
Yeah.
they're blooming huge, aren't they?
I mean, there's probably a case that maybe at some point people buried it.
Yeah.
You know, going back to what we were talking about, something terrible happens in the local village. Some of the children die of whooping cough or something. Somebody says, I saw the eyes glowing on that thing the other night because they'd eaten an infected mushroom that was making, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden, all the villagers, no, we've got to do that now, we're going to bury it, we're going to bury that. I do think that 99.9% of these things, we do have a simpler explanation for them. And we can't jump to that one. We go, could it have been that? No, we've proved that wrong. Could it have been that? Could it have been that? And then we get to there and we go, actually, it was aliens. Yeah. It was aliens that came down.
There's a theory on the Bible as well about that. See, I've started looking at the Bible because when I hear of a conspiracy, I guess, I do like to look at it and just have an awareness of it. And then someone asked me about the Bible and I was like, do you know what? I can't say yes or no because I've never actually looked into it. So I have started, and I was sent a video, and there's a guy who's huge on the Bible, knows everything about the Bible, and apparently he tried to dismiss the Bible and ended up believing it because he couldn't find certain things to dismiss it.
Yep.
And he actually started off this video, it was a video, he actually started it off by saying that God is an alien and the Bible was just kind of dropped here. And I was a bit like, I was not expecting that. So I thought that was quite a crazy theory.
Here's one for you then. Why does the Bible not mention dinosaurs?
Yeah.
Because nobody had found the bones.
Yeah.
So that means it was written by man.
Yeah.
Not God.
But then what about all the things that are happening in the world now that are in the Revelations?
Like what though?
Wasn't there's the river drying up.
Fake.
It's already dried up though, isn't it?
It was fake. It wasn't the Euphrates. It was the videos that were banding around were some old documentary video of some delta and you see, this is the thing. It's so easy to then put a voiceover on that and a title.
So it hasn't dried up?
No.
Isn't it even on the news though that it's dried up?
No. It was a TikTok thing that somebody's put a voiceover and they've quoted this part of the Bible, and a little bit of digging shows that video was actually made 15 years ago, and it was a part of some river in Nigeria or something that every other year it does dry out, and it's just sensationalised bollocks.
Oh, I'm going to look at that more then.
Yes.
Because I thought that,
You see,
that
the
was
thing
actually
is,
that
I've
river.
looked exactly, and that's the thing.
I haven't looked into that any deeper. I just took it as, it has dried up.
Exactly that. So what I always do is if I see something like that, I'll go, okay, can I find very quickly something that totally dismisses it? And if the answer is yes, it's first or second page of Google. The powers that be have not made that happen. And then it will show you a link to it. There's another one. It's the flat earth people talk about it an awful lot. And they have this picture of a mountainside, and they claim that NASA have shown this picture, and all they've done is change the tint of it to slightly red, and claiming that this is a picture from Mars. And actually, you can find this photograph, and it's somewhere in Canada, I think, or Newfoundland or something like that, and it is identical. Yet NASA have never claimed that that's their photo. It's not in any of the NASA archives, and a little bit of digging sees exactly where it came from. It was some guy on a website, he'd done this, and he was changing colours and this, that, and the other. But all somebody's seen that doesn't know anything about it is, oh my God, there's a picture of a mountain there that's red. They've told me that NASA said this is from Mars.
Yeah.
And then there's the actual picture. And when you put them over, they're identical. And they are identical. And they were the same mountain. But actually the breadcrumb trail, only 4 or 5 searches deep, leads you to realise that, no, NASA's never ever said that. You can look at every photograph that NASA have ever released, and it's got a serial number on it. That's never been on there.
Okay.
But yet it's so compelling. And when we've got this fear that somebody's out to get us and NASA are liars, people say NASA are liars. NASA aren't the only space station in the world.
Yeah.
China have got a space agency. Russia have got a space agency. India have got a space agency.
But isn't NASA's also a film studio? Is that not a thing?
Okay, I'm going to let you do Harkham's Razor. So you've got a huge, massive space agency, and what kind of things do you think would be in their headquarters?
Like spacey things.
Spacey things. Offices.
A rocket or something.
A rocket.
Offices.
Do you think they might need to take some photographs of the things that they've made for putting it on the website, maybe? Yeah.
But I wouldn't have thought they'd have like an entire room studio set up just for photos.
Well, we've got kind of a little room set up studio here just for a podcast.
Yeah, but that's because that's what it is though, isn't it? You need this, whereas you don't need photos.
Let me ask you a different question. Do you think that Lamborghini, the headquarters at Lamborghini, have got an area in their factory where there is a bit of a studio where they can take photographs and do publicity and do social media posts and stuff like that?
I don't know if they'd have it in the factory or if they'd have it in their showrooms.
So a new car's just come off the production line and they want to do it,
Maybe.
I think probably.
There's a potential.
So when people say, NASA have got a studio in there, yeah, probably they have. And they probably do want to take some photographs of the next space suit that they've got with people wearing them and get some good shots for the website.
What about that video where they're in space and then you suddenly see like a clip or something on one of them and the guy next to him tries to sneakily pull his clip down and sit him back down.
I've seen it.
And there's bubbles, air bubbles, as in looks like they're in water. There's lots of different things that don't quite add up. I am now at the point where I don't believe anything. I don't believe anything at all. I believe and I trust that I know nothing. And I'm quite happy with that.
But I think that's doing yourself a disservice because you do know a lot of things. Of course you do.
But I'm open. I'm not saying that is all it is. I'm open to hearing more about it.
Yeah.
I'm not always going to be like, yep, I know this and that is it because I know it. I'm always this is what I think, but I'm open to being wrong.
Yeah. And I think that's probably a healthy way to be. But like I said, you don't know how an internal combustion engine works in your car.
I ain't got a clue.
And nor do I. But I trust that the people at Ford and Hyundai do.
Yeah. But they're not all this is the thing though, they're not all honest and decent like mechanics. You can have some mechanics. I know a mechanic, my brother's a mechanic, and he's shit hot. Yep. Like the amount of people, because he generally has a passion, he really loves what he does, and he, as a human being, he has a good heart with good intent. But then he sees cars that have been absolutely not looked after at all, and people we told they've had brand new this and this put on, and then he looks and he's like, seriously, he does videos, he's like, this is not brand new, this has not been done. So you've got the people that genuinely care and genuinely have a good heart, and then you've got the same people doing the same job, like we use doctors and things. You've got the same people who generally just don't care. But then you've got that on everything, haven't you? It's like you say, how much money is enough money to lie to people and say, yep, this is what we did.
But the difference is with things like that is the data and the observations that are published are able to be tested by anybody.
That have got the setup to do it.
That have got the setup to do it, yeah. I mean, you and I could easily go and buy a telescope that is powerful enough for us to see the rings on Saturn.
Okay.
£1,000, let's say. I've seen them. Jamie Moncrief has got a telescope and we've set it up in his back garden. You can see the rings on Saturn.
I would like a telescope.
Yeah. But you can. So if we there are people out there that think the planets are fake. They think they're not real. They think
I've
they're
heard that as well.
little lights on the firmament.
Yeah.
You can go and spend, I bet you could probably get one for less than 300 quid. If you went onto eBay, you can set a telescope up yourself and you can see the rings on Saturn.
Okay.
That's there.
Yeah.
That is there. You can do that. And equally, all of these other things are testable. Yes, you would need enough money to do it and whatnot. Which is, that's ultimately what science is. So if somebody's covering it up, you're going to have to cover it up for everybody that has the ability to test it and everybody that has the ability potentially in the future to test it forever.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that that's possible. And why would they?
Just
Why would they?
control.
Would you not?
I don't know.
Would you? If we didn't go to the moon, do you not think Russia would have proven this without a doubt 50 years ago and won the Cold War? All the propaganda that's ever come out of either country, Russia have won, because they will have proven on a global scale that America lied about the most important thing that man's ever done. So now, nothing America says can be held as the truth.
The other day, Putin was analysing the first moon landing footage and he said it was fake.
Well,
Interesting.
analysing, he was sat watching it on a TV.
But when you look at it, though, it literally looks like a load of coat hangers shoved together and wrapped in tinfoil. And we're told that flew all the way to space, and now we don't have the technology to do it again, yet we're far more advanced now than what we were.
The thing that you're talking about, the lunar lander, that didn't fly all the way to space.
Okay.
That was inside the rocket.
Right.
So, yes, that little thing. So when somebody comes on and says, look at this, they're telling us this flew from Earth to... No, that didn't. That was inside the rocket that did. That just came out and came. So...
It still doesn't look like it could...
They put a mirror on the moon, a reflective mirror. And again, this is something you and I can do. We can shine a laser onto that mirror and it tells you the exact distance that the moon is by the time that laser bounces back. And that can be measured by anybody. And that's a mirror that's the reflective part on the moon that they put there on one of the missions when they were on the moon. And that's how we can measure. And that's how we know that the moon is actually moving away from Earth's gravitational pull by X amount of millimetres a year. Okay. But eventually it's going to be out there. You and I can go and do that. We can go and buy a laser. We can find the place on planet Earth where you go and do it. And you fire it up and it tells you how fast light travels, tells you how far away the moon is, tells you how far away it's going and all of these things. So
Can you do that from anywhere? You have to be in a particular spot.
Yeah, I don't know the ins and outs of it. See if you can Google it. But yeah, there might be a specific place on the planet that's... I don't know. But yeah, there's a I don't know how big it is, but that's one of the things that they did. They brought back moon rocks that then went out to different countries for analysis. And they all came back and said, yeah, they're moon rocks. So I don't know, but yeah, there's a reflective mirror on the moon. Laser beams reflected between Earth and Moon. Whereabouts?
See, I don't know CGI, but they look not that good, do they?
The cameras weren't good back in those days, though, were they? And also, what you've got to remember is our eyes are only able to say what's real on Earth. We have no idea what it looks like. There's no vegetation on there. There's no atmosphere. Light's not refracting the same way. It's very, very different. It's an alien world. View of the laser. So that's it then. A close-up view of the laser-ranging retroreflector which the Apollo 14 astronauts deployed on the moon during their lunar surface extravehicular activity while astronauts Alan B. Shepard, command pilot remained... see if you can find somewhere where you can go and do the experiment or whatever it is. But yes, so that's essentially it. So you can bounce a laser from that back to Earth. You can shine it on and it shines back. And it's something ridiculous. I think when I was watching this many years ago, it was something like It went there and back in like 0.2 of a second.
Okay.
Because that's obviously how fast light's travelling. Proof we made it to the moon, you can still bounce a laser off of it today. Now, when you're talking to somebody that doesn't believe in all of this, all they'll say there is, no, I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
They're lying to us about that. They never come back with any hard evidence.
Yeah,
I mean, look, this is
why I'm
this is an independent website. This isn't NASA.
Yeah, but then you got to try and see who owns it and whatever.
But you and I can go and get a telescope and see the rings on Saturn, and you and I could, I think, get a license or something to go to a place to be able to do this.
Need a license. See, this is the
I
thing.
don't know. I don't know if it's. I don't know. I don't know. I would imagine that it's going to be. I don't know. You might be able to just do it from anywhere. Don't know. But there are lots of things that are like this, and then once all the evidence starts stacking up, and you go, okay, and I'm not really well versed in all of this, but if there was somebody that spent their whole life on it, they might be able to give you 500 different things that we could do right now that would prove all of these things. Like I've said, and yet somebody will say, no, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. You're being paid. And it's a really lazy way of thinking.
If you're given that much proof, then you can't dispute it.
But then they go, well, it's not proof because they're scientists and they're being paid by this person, and it's what's called a secular belief. Why do you believe in God? Because I know God's real. Yeah, but why do you know God's real? Because I believe God's real. Okay, we're not getting anywhere. Why do you believe in God? Well, I believe in God because God speaks to me. Okay, when does God speak to you? Well, through my thoughts. Okay, are they not feeling? And it's that way of thinking about it. And I would be the first person. If there it is. So it's obviously a high-powered laser, but yeah, that was one of the things that I believe they wanted to do. Is, you see, the mathematics of things tends to always work, and they would have had mathematical theories about the distance that the moon was moving away and travelling and all of these things, and that was put on there so that they could then get real, actual, up-to-date data and prove their mathematical theories. So they put that reflector on there, and then they come back and they go, right, oh God, we were right. It is moving 7 millimetres away a year or 2 or whatever it is. And that's what science is. And I think that's why we are here today.
Yeah.
And I want to believe in something, but I don't believe in bullshit. And at the end of the day, people are making a lot of money from claiming the Earth's flat.
How?
There was a Flat Earth convention not long ago today. David Weiss is selling books and he's getting people subscribing to his YouTube channel. He's making money out of it. There aren't many people making money out of saying the world's round. People would say, well, yes, the governments and stuff do, but people aren't peddling books on the round,
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's a drop in the ocean, but it's interesting in a sense, but I like to look at those things. And honestly, if you ever get the chance to have a look at Saturn through a telescope, look at it.
Yeah, I want to do that now.
And Mars and Venus.
Yeah.
And you see them all and you're like, oh my God, for my whole life, it's just been a dot of light in the sky, and now I do that, but there'll be somebody then that says, oh yeah, but there's some digital nonsense going on in the thingy, and that's not really that, that's that.
Yeah.
Galileo back in the day found that by changing the shape of a bit of glass and doing it with another one and holding them up, you can see Saturn.
Okay.
And then they'll go, but Galileo worked for the Illuminati and and it's just like, it's insufferable at times.
This is why I say I will not say I 100% believe anything. I'm open to all sides, hearing it all.
I think that's a very good, but having an analytical view of okay, why do I believe? So if you'd have said to me, oh, I've seen this thing about med beds, and I go to you, okay, why do you believe in that? And you go, I saw this thing on TikTok. Okay. What other evidence is there? Oh, well, I don't know, the guy saying it sounded quite convincing. And I think a lot of the time it all boils down to that, doesn't it? It's like, I saw this bloke and he had a white coat on, he looked like a scientist, and he said some words that I don't really understand, and he showed me a picture and, oh, it must be real.
Yeah.
And then it's...
I'll let you know how this frequency machine goes, because I think this is going to make a lot of difference to how I believe the things work.
Get a frequency wand up, Benno.
It's an iTerra.
iTerra?
Yeah, I've only used it twice now, but what I have noticed is I'm drinking a lot more water, but I'm not going to the toilet more. And they say that it's because it changes the structure of the water. That's the one. Oh,
These
not that
things
one. Mine was more than that, but it's that kind of thing.
So there was one for 400 quid and one for
That's
50
what
quid.
mine was 400.
Have you paid 400 pounds
This
for
one, the red one, yeah.
Now, Charlotte,
Yes.
it does look like another device.
Yes, it does. All in the morning.
Yes, it's the vibrational frequency tuner. Makes me feel really good afterwards. I fucking bet it does.
Tia actually showed me the other morning. She's like, Mummy,
Mum.
what's this long thing next to your bed? I was like,
Yes.
what is this long thing? And I ran upstairs and she was literally sat there with that. I was like, oh, that's nothing, Tia. Don't worry about
Don't worry,
that.
darling. That's just a frequency modulator that makes me feel really good. Terahertz resonates the same frequency.
But the next day, I've only used it twice now. And like I say, since I've been using it, I'm drinking loads more water, but I'm not weeing more. So apparently it's supposed to be more
these are mega
hydration.
money.
But also,
£4,000.
that's for the professional one. Also, yesterday morning, I'd only used it once, and well, Tia wasn't even there, but she looked at me in the morning. She's like, "Mummy, why are your eyes really blue today?" And I was like, I don't know. But apparently my eyes look blue. And normally my hands and feet are constantly freezing cold. And the last 2 nights, they've not been. Like normally I'm in bed and I'm like cold, but they aren't. I don't know
what do you do with it?
Well, there's different protocols for different things. But what I've been doing is like a 20-minute session to start off with, where you just have certain points on your body that you hold it onto, and it gives off a light and a heat and a frequency, and it's supposed to.
So you actually touch it on the skin,
not
or
quite. Hold
away
it from a distance. But you've got certain points that you do it on, like hold it on and concentrate it on, and then you kind of move it along your body into different areas.
Do you hear anything? Is there a sound to it? Is it a buzzing?
It sounds a bit like a hairdryer.
Oh wow! So it's fairly loud.
And yeah, it's got this blue light. But then again, that might take us again back to light therapy and frequency of the blue healing light. So
is there a red light as well on it?
It's not. It's just blue.
It's just a blue light.
Yeah, but there's lots of people that have used it and have got good results from it. There was the lady that I got it from, or who I brought it from. She had a client who she'd seen, I think it was 4 times, and on the first photo, his ankle was like blotchy, like looked like bruised, and it was really not nice. And you can see over the 4 sessions how it changed in appearance, and it went from looking like he'd just been hit over the ankle with a rock, like bruised horribleness, down to normal. It wasn't a bruise, it was like a pooling of blood that he'd had forever.
Yeah.
But by the end of the 4th session, it looked like a normal ankle. And it's the frequencies that change it. It brings it into the balance of what it should be. So I'm just going to keep using it and see what happens.
Acupuncture is similar to that, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
different
on your
energy
feet.
Levels and
Because you're down your spine, literally every single every vertebrae is connected to nerves on different parts of you. So it goes from your feet, runs into your spine, then it goes up to your ears or up to your nose, but that also goes back then to your meridians, which are the energy that actually comes into your body, and the flows go through your chakras, and it's all connected. It's all frequency, it's all energy. It's all we are. Energy, frequency, just vibrating at different frequencies.
And then that thing will fine tune them.
Yeah, it's supposed to bring everything back to the frequency that it should be. So when people have had it knocked and back.
So then which then leads you to your idea with these med beds. That's what they essentially say. You're going in there and it's doing the whole body.
Yeah, I guess. But I don't know. I've never looked at the med beds. I've just seen posts and heard
Pull
things.
up Tesla
I've
med
properly
beds.
gone into.
You see,
Tesla's another one, isn't it? Because he said all frequencies, or if you want to look into
the
or
actual
know
Tesla
the
med bed
truth about
website.
Is it Tesla as in like the car
No.
man Tesla?
And
It's
again,
the old original
this
Tesla,
was another one of
isn't it?
these things. You've got all these people talking about these med beds, and they all started stating, no, there are real ones, and it's called the Tesla med beds, and you go onto their website, and then you scroll right down to the bottom, and it says, this should not be used for any medical conditions. This doesn't...
Yeah.
That
is what this one says as well.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, but I believe that's, well, from my experience in looking into lots of different natural things, the FDA don't like approving natural things. They like to rubbish it, which is why with going back to Dr. Sebi, they did take him to court and tried to get him done, saying...
Is he dead now?
He is. He was arrested and then mysteriously died after 3 days in prison of pneumonia, even though he was fit and healthy when he got arrested.
Did you see what popped up there when he was Googling Tesla med beds?
No.
Me?
Did you?
Yes. Go on, have a look at that one.
Load of bullshit. Here's the Tesla bio in MedBed's website. Just pause it sometimes to read some of the shit on there. And it always says this is not a substitute for real medical advice and treatment.
Because they've got to say that.
There you go, guys. Straight from the
Yeah,
horse's mouth.
but they all started getting it twisted with actual Tesla, the motor company. It wasn't.
Shit on there. And it always says this is not a substitute for real medical advice and treatment.
They have to.
Guys. Straight from the horse's mouth. Load of
Who's that?
bullshit. Here's the Tesla bio in
Who's
MedBed's
it?
website.
Hello, mate.
Just pause it a few times.
Pause that then.
Some of the shit on
Sick of my own voice. That's weird, isn't it? Yeah.
But the FDA won't approve. But you don't want it to be FDA approved anyway. They won't approve anything that actually heals you without profit for them.
But surely that things cost you £300.
Yeah.
If it absolutely worked and they could have it, they're making the money off of it.
Not if it's already been patented.
Yeah, but I'm sure it would only need to be a few different change. You know, Dyson's patented his Hoovers, but everybody's is the same now, isn't it? So I don't think that would necessarily be a reason for it not to be approved.
But then there's certain things that they just not interested in, like supplements as well, vitamins, minerals.
Yep.
They're not interested in those. Nothing's FDA approved for that.
Yeah.
They've got no need to approve it. But then is that because they'd have to then tell you that most of them are full of junk and don't do anything, the synthetic ones?
Probably.
Which was then cost them a lot of money because it's most of them that own them. The same pharmaceutical companies do the supplements.
But equally, they've probably not got a hold on a vitamins and supplements market that they have with actual pharmaceuticals, because I can go to Holland and Barrett.
But they're all full of crap.
They are, but what I'm saying is I can't go to a shop and buy naproxen.
No.
Or buy whatever it is that woman was taking. That is shut off for the pharmaceutical industry, and they're only going to make the money from that. Yeah. Whereas if they came out and they said, look, ginger pills are amazing for X, Y, and Z, and they're just as good as anything pharmaceutical, everyone's going and buying them from somewhere else, and then somebody will go, well, they're bullshit, so we're going to make one that is organic and this, and that, and the other, and all of a sudden they're making the money and they're not.
Yeah.
You know, the thing for me was when COVID hit, there wasn't a doctor out there that was saying the best thing you can all do is lose some weight, stop smoking, get out in the sunlight, do all of these things for yourself. That's going to have far more of an impact than going and getting a jab.
Yep. Instead, they shut all the gyms down, left all the tobacco and alcohol shops wide open, and said that's good for your health.
Yes.
Go
stop people going outside, stop
Don't
kids socialising.
Yep. That's
stay
what
at
they
home,
should do.
get pissed, eat junk food, buy things from Amazon.
Lower your immune system further.
Correct. Now, whether that's right or wrong, and I'm sure Jamie over there is going to have his opinions on it, but why are they not... When the most important thing is being healthy, it wasn't... Now, again, this is anecdotal, of course it is, and I don't know for 100% certainty, but it wasn't 29-year-old athletic males and females that weren't smoking and weren't drinking and abusing their bodies that were dropping dead.
Yeah. It was
was diabetics, people with heart conditions, people with underlying conditions that led a sedentary lifestyle, that weren't doing anything to get themselves out, no sunlight. They were the ones dying.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden it was like, well, everybody needs to now stay in. No. 99% of people need to carry on doing what they're doing. Yeah. They need to stay in.
Yeah, definitely.
But when it suited them, let's go and help out to eat out because they knew they were tanking the fucking economy.
And
Boris Johnson's waffling now, isn't he? Totally, he needs to come on here.
Yeah.
He's the king of waffle. Oh yes, no, we didn't have any worries about it spread. What?
It was partying though, weren't they?
Yeah,
Too busy partying.
They couldn't give a shit.
There's videos of that as well, isn't there? Where they're all stood together with their masks on for photos, and the second the photos stop, they take all the masks off. It just proves it wasn't scary and it wasn't anything that they were telling us it was. Because if it was, then they wouldn't have been stood next to each other whipping the masks off.
I do think that they were probably worried. There was definitely something.
Yeah.
COVID is definitely something
But so's the flu.
You know? So is the flu.
Whereas if you look at the statistics for the flu, Jamie, no one died from flu that year.
What were the flu deaths around COVID? Did they literally go to zero?
Almost. It's a joke.
But it couldn't have done, could it?
Yeah, so
Not in reality.
masks in the hospital. You don't have to do that. Yes, as soon as you put masks in the hospital, you observe the ridiculous reduction in respiratory illnesses. It obviously didn't quite drop to zero, but then as soon as social distancing stopped, the statistics returned to pretty much where they were anyway.
No, but what I'm saying is, every other year up until then, you look at actual influenza deaths, and they were whatever they were. That year and the year before, there was no influenza deaths. It was all COVID.
Yeah.
Well, of course, there were still influenza deaths, but you're absolutely right that it was massively reduced.
Was it reduced, or were the COVID deaths being put down to...
Well, I mean, that's a good question, isn't it?
Were the flu deaths being put down to COVID?
The reality is that it was the first time that all the healthcare professionals and everybody else in a hospital was wearing masks. So if you're in a building where most of transmission occurs, and then suddenly you reduce it by putting on masks, and of course those levels went down massively. I think that's what you're asking.
So were most flu deaths up until then, was that all happening in the hospitals?
No, not in the hospital. It's mainly old people who die from flu. But that kills thousands of people every year. So I've been looking at my phone for something. I've not been quite tuned into where we're at, but...
Yeah.
I don't know if I've answered the question.
He's going to get himself in trouble. Naughty boy. I've not got anything else written down on my thing there. No. The soundproofing seems to have stayed up.
Yes.
The
white gap is filled.
The gap is filled. You see, a woman's touch has sorted it. Is it absolutely pissing it down? No?
It's not too bad. I've just been walking outside.
Lovely. I'm done with you, I think.
Awesome!
How long have we been talking for now?
Hour and a quarter.
Is that it?
Oh, 2 hours.
I was going to say, it felt like more than an hour and a quarter, didn't it? No, it didn't, but then it
did
kind
as
of...
well.
Because I looked at the time on there a while ago and it was like 12:30 and I was like, I'm sure we started talking at about 11:15.